Welcome. My name's Georgine and I teach online yoga and movement classes. Today I'm here to give you 5 areas to think about when you're doing plank pose. In this pretty bizarre time, a lot more people are doing home practice, and I see videos on Instagram stories that people are doing push-up challenges and burpee challenges, and it's great to see. I love it. I am seeing some form things, and that's what today's tutorial is about. So first area to think about is what the neck and head, that whole area, is doing. So if you think about plank pose, it's basically like a quadruped pose. So it's all fours you can think about. So you can even test these out on all fours. So what I see a lot of is when holding plank or doing push-ups, the head starts to drop down. And it won't even feel that aggressive. Like when you're doing kind of a push-up, you think you want to get closer to the ground, so the chin starts to lead. So I want you to think about lengthening to the back of your neck. Even video yourself pretty quick and just kind of check. I always think of giving myself a subtle double chin, and that helps. And then think about leading with your sternum as you lower and lift, or when you hold a plank, keep that length to the back of the neck. Okay, so area 1, neck, head area. Area 2 is what you want to think about, where the shoulder blades are. So again, I like to kind of test it out on all fours because it's a little bit of a more sustainable posture. Sometimes the shoulder blades start to hug in towards each other and like the chest sinks down. Sometimes we press really far away. And sometimes that's a nice place to be. Today we'll be thinking about, can you find that happy middle ground for the shoulder blades? So it's nice to do these straight arm scapular shrugs to find those two extremes. And then where is that middle ground? And again, think about the neck, because neck and shoulders play in. And then from that middle ground, that long neck, finding your plank, and you're good to go. So that was 2. The third area you want to think about is the abdominals. You can technically do plank pose without engaging the abdominals at all. This is another thing I see. I saw mostly in class when you start to get tired, if you're doing a lot of, say, vinyasas, going into plank pose. Sometimes, say you're in downward dog, you come forwards, and then the belly starts to hang down. There's no engagement. It's just arms, it's just legs. It's kind of an up dog sort of thing. But you want to think about like pulling the abdominals in, thinking about lengthening through the tailbone, find that engagement. So I usually don't go into plank right away. I think about core first, then plank. The fourth area I want to think about is the pelvis and what it's doing. For this, instead of thinking about being on all fours, I like to think about being in a high kneeling position, because essentially you're in plank pose. And again, this is a less, more sustainable way of checking in. So what I see a lot of is the bum will kind of stick back. You'll arc through the low back a bit more. Sometimes I'll see the opposite, but that's a little bit more rare. Most common, bum sticking back. So what I like to think about is take your hands, open palms to the front of the hips, and think about pressing your hips into hands. And it's just simple as that. Notice how that feels. The belly will engage a bit, the glutes will engage a bit. And then I like to do this to check in. Instead of all fours, it's harder to find that because you're hinged quite a bit. So just step your shins back. Think about, okay, the bum will stick back. You'll feel the back a bit more. You want to think about pressing the hips forward, squeezing the bum, squeeze the belly to lengthen, and it'll feel more challenging. And that's why sometimes I say plank pose from the knees or the push-ups is hard enough. Because when it's done right, it's hard. Okay, 5th thing I want you to think about. And this one you can actually use a block. So I'm going to grab my block. So number 4 and 5 are similar muscle groups you'll think about. So this, we'll take the block between the upper inner thighs. Squeezing in, working those inner thighs, and think about externally rotating through the thighs. So see if you can kind of like pez the block forwards and then rotate back. You'll notice how this affects how the pelvis moves. I have to move my hands to get my brain around it. Because the legs want to be active as well, but you want to try to find that integration, that like inner thigh drawing up to the core, all of that hugging in at the same time. So sometimes it's nice to actually do plank pose or push-ups with a block, with that squeezing in. And then you'll feel the belly hugging in more. You won't have that sinking down. You squeeze and lift. Think about the neck. Think about the shoulders. And you'll be good to go. So those are the 5 areas. Neck, where the shoulders are placed. Abdominals, how the pelvis is moving, and the inner thigh engagement. So hopefully that will get your push-up or burpee challenge or just your general practice a little bit stronger. So thank you. My name's Georgine. As always, you can find me georgineyoga.com for all my videos, some live stream classes, some privates. I'll see you there. Thanks again.